Hi, my name is Carissa Lopez-Bacchus, and I'm a licensed mental health counselor at Shepherd Community Center in Indianapolis, Indiana. I know I'm talking to a large audience, all with different backgrounds and life situations, but I'm going to attempt to address something that remains important to us all, which is taking care of ourselves. In whatever position you find yourself in your family, your work, your community, it's likely that you're helping take care of someone else. It's also possible that you're in a stage of your life by age or circumstance that you find yourself being taken care of by others. Either way, it is a personal responsibility to take care of yourself, even if that means asking for help from others. When we are not taking care of ourselves, we often self-medicate in a variety of ways to deal with feeling stressed, overwhelmed, depressed, and anxious. We often try to avoid feeling pain and discomfort, and will find ways to distract ourselves through food, entertainment, drugs, overworking or staying busy, and blaming others. Some of the reasons people tell me why they're not taking care of themselves is that they feel guilty. There's not enough time. They're too busy taking care of others. They don't have enough energy, or they feel depressed. And you may have used one of these reasons for not taking care of yourself. And you may also recognize the need to take care of yourself. The truth is, no one can care and serve others to their best ability without needing to rest, refuel, and re-engage. I'm going to call these the 3 R's of self-care. And I will describe the meaning of the 3 R's and give some practical examples of how we can apply them. When I talk about rest, it is essential that we make sleep a priority, and we take breaks for our minds and bodies. And according to research, insomnia and other sleep problems can increase the risk of developing depression. Many experts believe that people learn insomnia and can learn how to sleep better. Good sleep hygiene, such as maintaining a regular sleep and wake schedule, using the bedroom only for sleeping or sex, and keeping the bedroom dark and free of distractions, like the computer or television, can be helpful. It can also be helpful to relax, to be mindful, and to disconnect for a period of time so that we can restore our energy and refocus. Feeling well rested can help us feel more equipped to handle challenging situations and potential frustrations, as well as it helps with our memory and concentration. Here are some ways you can help yourself rest. Create a schedule with mental breaks throughout the day. Lower caffeine intake, and watch or listen to a video that can guide you through progressive muscle relaxation. When I talk about refueling, it is important to engage in activities that nourish our whole being. We refuel our physical bodies and strengthen our brain through eating nutritious foods and by maintaining physical activity in our lifestyle. We see that studies show that eating certain foods can help lower your risk of dementia. A University of Miami study found that individuals who ate a Mediterranean diet, including vegetables, fruits, small amounts of meat and fish, whole grains, nuts, and olive oil, had less blood vessel damage in the brain. Other studies have highlighted the dementia-fighting benefits of leafy greens and vegetables, such as cabbage and cauliflower. Studies also show that physical exercise can also help your brain, release tension in your body, and improve your mood. John Medina, an affiliate professor of bioengineering at the University of Washington, states that aerobic exercise reduces the level of brain loss and keeps cognitive ability sharp. And it slashes your lifetime risk of Alzheimer's in half and your risk of general dementia by 60%. According to a study published by JAMA Psychiatry, a study author Carmel Cho at the Harvard T.H. Chan School of Public Health says that we saw a 26% decrease in odds for becoming depressed with each major increase of objectively measured physical activity. Here's one way you can help yourself refuel. Aim for 150 minutes of moderate exercise a week. You can count walking briskly. You want to break a light sweat and feel like you're working, but still be able to speak. Studies show that having an accountability partner or someone to work out with can also be helpful. We can also refuel our spirit and soul by reading and meditating on God's Word, praying, sharing in fellowship with believers, serving, worshiping in private and in community, and spending time in nature. When I talk about re-engaging, I'm talking about the importance of connecting to yourself and to others. Recent studies from Ireland and the US have found that negative social interactions and relationships, especially with a partner or spouse, increase the risk of depression, anxiety, and suicidal ideation, while positive interactions reduce the risk of these issues. Also, people in neighborhoods with higher levels of social cohesion experience lower rates of mental health problems than those in neighborhoods with less cohesion. And this was independent of how deprived or affluent a neighborhood was. To re-engage, first, we must look inward and create change in ourselves to reflect the people we want to be outwardly with other people. We must tune into our own needs and insecurities, know our own limits and boundaries, and express our thoughts and our feelings in ways that are healthy and non-harming. We learn how to re-engage with ourselves with kindness and grace, and also with honesty and alignment with our values. We re-engage with others by walking alongside others, sharing our hurts and sorrows, and by finding ways we can be unified rather than divided. We have to reach out. We have to ask for help. We have to be vulnerable and held accountable. We must re-engage in our interactions with others in love and forgiveness. We re-engage by seeking to understand, empathize, and find solutions together. Here are some ways you can help yourself re-engage. Look up self-compassion exercises by Dr. Kristin Neff and practice some of them. Examine your self-talk, which is the conversation you have with yourself inside your head. Are the words you say about yourself and others mostly positive, negative, judgmental, kind, etc.? And lastly, learn how to communicate assertively, which means you express yourself in a clear and direct way that also respects the rights of other people. I know I could give a long list of ideas for self-care, but I know that giving a list won't cause you to start doing it. It is a personal choice. You have to know that it is worth it, that you are worth it, and know that you can find a way to make it work into your lifestyle. You may want to make a plan, write it down, break your self-care down into small steps that seem practical and achievable. Your self-care might mean major or minor changes in your lifestyle. This might even mean reaching out for help and talking with someone to figure out what is keeping you from practicing self-care. I know that it is worth the time and the effort to practice self-care. I need to practice self-care for myself, but I also need to practice self-care for you. If I'm not taking care of myself, I'm probably going to be more impatient, apathetic, unforgiving, and irritable. For me, it's not a perfect formula of doing a regimented series of tasks and being 100% consistent. I don't strive for being perfect, and I know that life circumstances or emergencies can make the self-care I need impractical. But I still know that I need it, and I try to practice self-care when I can and as much as I can with my lifestyle. Self-care cannot be an option if you want to continue to serve and care for others. It is too important for your health and for the health of our families and communities. Thank you so much for the work that you are doing, your compassion, your service, and your commitment. We all share the mission to care, love, and serve others. We must encourage each other in this work. I will end this video with a Bible verse from 2 Corinthians 12:9. But he, the Lord, said to me, "My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. Therefore, I will boast all the more gladly about my weaknesses, so that Christ's power may rest on me. May the grace of Christ strengthen you and encourage you to rely on him in every moment. May God remind you of your own weaknesses and give you wisdom on how to best take care of yourself and others. It has been an honor to share with you in this video. Please take care of yourself and God bless.